And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website. Excuse me, no. Late Night Lately, the late night show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is a late night show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I said, there's a website. Go there. I'm so turned around. I have no idea. It's Friday. It's 5 p.m. Let's get to the monologue. House and Congress overwhelmingly voted to approve the release of the Epstein files, and President Donald Trump said he would sign the bill once it hit his desk. Now, just give him a little bit of time to just... And now the files are available for everyone to see. Trump welcomed Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the White House, and on Thanksgiving, he's planning on bringing back Hitler and Mussolini and Napoleon, but no girls because it's boys' night. Guests at the dinner with bin Salman included Paramount Skydance CEO David Ellison, soccer star Cristiano Ronaldo, and Apple CEO Tim Cook. But don't worry, Tim was just there to do IT stuff for the barely legal porn that was going to be shown in 4K at the White House dining room wall. And the areola looks nice and crisp. Oh, God. Earlier this week, Nicki Minaj gave a speech at the United Nations, and not to be outdone, Cardi B will address the European Union. She's a big fan of what they did with the USB-C. LSD distributor and mountain climber guide Henry Todd died at the age of 80 in Kathmandu, but, was he ever really alive? Are any of us actually alive? And finally, the New York Times released a story about how Canadian wolves would go so far to steal a meal, and yet they still refuse to go to Arby's. And that's all the jokes I have for you this week on the thing for the monologue. Welcome back. Episode 80. It was a busy week for late night, as it typically is. Things are winding down as we march towards the end of seasons and everything. I'm sorry, I'm just zooming back into to articles because some of these websites I do read. It's a long, tough week for these comedians. Yeah, Fallon had his show on the Tonight Show. They had a Sunday show, and I don't know scheduling, so I don't know if this happened last time or not. But they're doing Sunday shows. I think they're doing four, truly just a handful of Sunday shows for the for football, and they're going to be after football or basketball or whatever on Sundays. And I assumed wrongly that they were going to do Sunday through Thursday, but this week they did Sunday through Wednesday, which makes sense. NBC doesn't want to pay people. So the Sunday show was an NFL featured show, and it was also the start of their week-long Wicked. I'm thinking of something they're going to do in December that I read about. It's the start of their week-long Wicked residency, more or less. So for that Sunday show, they had a Wicked for Good cast performance of a song style thing. Ariana Grande, Rosalia was on the show. DJ Khaled was also on the show, and Rosalia performed. And then Michelle Yeoh was on the following show. Hank Azaria was there doing his Bruce Springsteen impression because he tours with as Bruce Springsteen singer, impressionist. I don't know what it's cover band. Ray was there, and she performed Where's My Husband? Ray was there, and she also performed Where's My Husband? Now the Ariana Grande show, they did a history of duets with Ariana, and then she sat down for a conversation. Josh Hutcherson was there, I believe, talking about the new Five Nights at Freddy's movie. The first movie I enjoyed. I did like it a lot. And I'm not even of the generation of Five Nights at Freddy's, generation of gamers. I think about generations of gamers happen in a quick succession because there's, a whole generation that grew up on Fortnite. And there's a whole generation that's growing up on Roblox. There's a generation that grew up on Call of Duty. There's a generation that grew up on Halo. There's generations and sub-generations. Snowcaps performed a song as well. And then Cynthia Erivo was there. Tom Fretson and Leslie Bibb were also there. And then Nora Fati performed a song with Shinessa. Can you tell? I have not seen it, but man, oh man, what attractive women those are. The creepiest thing I could possibly say. Muster at the moment. And that ended on Wednesday. They didn't do a Thursday episode. Seth doesn't need the lead in. Speaking of Seth, on top of a bunch of closer looks, we also had visits from Jeff Goldblum. He had his own Wicked party this week. Jane Krakowski, Brendan Fraser was there. Chloe Grace Moretz was there. They did a Back in My Day, which it was a 10-minute segment, and it's one of those sketches they did that just had a crazy ending. They brought back stand-up. Greta Titelman and Brooks Wheelan both performed this week. Jonathan Bailey was on the show. Mary Steenburgen was on the show as well, talking about the second season of A Man on the Inside, or whatever it's called, on Netflix. A show I like. I do like. But I just don't know the name. And then Cynthia Erivo was there, too. Cynthia and Brooks Wheelan. Cynthia Erivo, I know I said Brooks Wheelan performed, but he also sat on the couch talking about Spider League, which is, if you are a consistent watcher of the show, then you know exactly what Spider League is. Cynthia, not this show of Late Night with Seth Meyers. Cynthia Erivo, obviously she and Ariana and the rest of the cast of Wicked for Good are going around and talking about this movie that they shot 3 years ago at this point. And I'm glad for them, happy for them. She also sang a song at the end of the John Candy documentary, I Like Me, which was such a great doc. I enjoyed every single minute of it. I don't care that Ryan Reynolds was part of the producing team. I do care that Colin Hanks was the director, because I continually like his directing efforts. He did the Tower Records doc. Anyway, I'm done. Cynthia Erivo, her voice is going. It is going. And Seth asked her, she's performing, I guess, for the premiere of the movie or something here in America. And he asked, is that one of your last performances for the year? And then she had to look off into the distance and like really think about it. And I went, honey, your voice is gone. You can't do anything else. You're barely here. But it was a good interview. Everything this week was good. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, and also Trump attacked Seth. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, Sam Jackson was there along with Miss Pat, who, again, Miss Pat, her show has won multiple Emmys. I've never seen it on ever, but she's a great guest. Whenever she appears on Seth Meyers, whenever she appears on Jimmy Kimmel, it's always a good time. And I'm just glad this young woman is getting support. Rhea Seehorn was there. Kate Winslet. Adam Sandler was there. Ali Larder, Kerry Washington, and Eric Swalwell announced that he's running for governor of California. Stephen Wilson Jr. performed, and that was a nice, fun time. And T-Pain also performed too. Unfortunately, T-Pain did not do. He did a song that he made, but I would love it if he covered War Pigs again. Yes, I know I can go back and watch his performance of War Pigs anytime, but man, go watch T-Pain. He released an album called Under the Covers, and obviously it was all covers. And this is years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, but it was he did a cover of War Pigs that just is truly transcendent. Then on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, a show's monologues that I can't seem to make it through anymore. This is my problem with Colbert and Kimmel and The Daily Show when Jon Stewart hosts, and John Oliver. This is my show with a majority of the late night shows that are on television right now. I named 4 shows out of the 7 that are Uh, it is we've come to this point where it's a sycophantic clap along. There's no jokes, especially in last night's episode of the Late Show. I can like Colbert. I can think he's a funny guy, but in the past couple of years, as they've veered a lot more, and I won't say they veered more political, but that is where I'm inching. But as they've turned into this, the show itself has become just such a play on, I'm going to say something that's 10% funny. The audience that you will agree with, and the audience will agree with it. And and that's the problem. Instead of laughing at the situation, they're agreeing with it. And then they start applauding after everything he says. And it's so tough. So I can't speak too much of the Late Show, except when you get to the actual bits like Meanwhile or the Cybergasm, all that shit that's there, or just the interviews, because the interviews. But then at some points, and Conan does this too. It's just and during an interview when you're talking to somebody as legendary as John Fogerty, or you're talking to somebody like Julia Roberts, you're just naming things that they're in and people are clapping, and then you're not even having a discussion. So imagine doing that 4 times a week or 8 times a week when you have 2 people on. Oh my goodness. Seth's show is the only one I watch all the way through, and then for Kimmel, I'll watch the monologue and then who decide on the guests. Same thing for Fallon, and then for this show, it's just, man. I go, all right, well, they're just clapping at the monologue. All right, let me move on to Meanwhile. Okay, well, there's no Meanwhile. Let me move on to the guest. All right, well, I don't really care about this guest. Then let me turn off the episode. And that all happens in like a minute. Julia Roberts, Jonathan Carl, John Fogerty, who also performed, Chef Alison Roman, Ted Danson, Jesse Wells performed, Benedict Cumberbatch, Patton Oswalt and Billy Strings performed. And then you also have Elizabeth Warren. So those are all the guests and musical artists and chefs. On Last Week Tonight, John Oliver talked about public media. On The Daily Show, I should have put The Daily Show Last Week Tonight. I like to have things in a specific order. On there was a video that released on last Saturday, and after the cut, and this is another thing I have with Jon Stewart in particular. It's a video that was just like Jon Stewart bashing Faith, and then all the fans are like, yeah, we agree, Faith sucks, but it's just let people believe in what they want to believe. Just because there are a bunch of loud people who happen to be Christians and they happen to be doing terrible things does not mean that largely enough people who believe in faith, people who believe in things, are naturally going to be horrible people. This is like, I'm completely soured on Jon Stewart. This is, again, we've come into this point where people are being so sycophantic when it comes to what they like. And I pray I'm using that fucking word right. Where people are just, they're being repeated. They're hearing what they believe repeated. And it happens everywhere. It happens on The Daily Show. It happens on Fox News. It happens in the New York Times. It happens on Reddit. It happens on Truth Social. It happens everywhere. People are hearing their points repeated back to them, and they're like, I agree. Anyway, Jon Stewart talked to Christiane Amanpour. Ronnie Chang hosted this week, and he talked to Hikari for the movie Rental Family. Sean Sherman and Sebastian Maniscalco. We also had Grace Kludenschmidt do an AI story. And then Michael Costa did a spoof of a hospital show called RFK Hospital. And Leslie Jones did an opinion piece about air traffic controllers. And I'm going to consider these opinion pieces because they're guests coming in. All right. Now, the topic this week, will be holidays. But before we get into that, holiday episodes. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and it's written by Rick Porter. Donald Trump's latest salvo at Jimmy Kimmel caps a media-obsessed week for the president. Even before Jimmy's suspension by ABC, and I feel like that was a huge, and please forgive me for saying this, turning point. Turning Point USA was at I went to school at University of Tennessee Chattanooga, and Turning Point USA was there this week to have some type of thing. And I guess Riley Gaines, the girl who came in fifth place, tied in fifth place with a trans swimmer at University of Kentucky, I don't fucking know. I guess she was there too. And to cap that all off, I think the day after they were there, Pablo Torre released an episode of his podcast where he and a writer discussed her story. Hold on, let me get this information right, because I want to give this young woman her due for the excellent writing that she did for Mother Jones, excuse me. Madison Pauly. That's the young lady he spoke to. Who they did a feature-length episode about Riley Gaines and her just transcendent rise to this disgusting stardom. Where they're taking, I don't know what movie I was watching, but there was a movie I watched, and it's from the 80s, and they said "Make America Great Again," and like it's just like things that we've heard before in movies and TV shows and songs before they were ever said or used in a racist context or sexist context or anti-gay context. They're being said now, and then whenever I go back and watch the movie or listen to those songs or whatever, and you're like, oh God. I just associate that with that, but they're two different things. Anyway. Yeah, I would say that FCC thing was a big turning point. So the President of the United States at 12:49 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday on his social media posted a call for ABC to fire Jimmy Kimmel. His exact words were, in Truth Social, "Get the bum off the air." To which I believe Jimmy, he responded in his latest monologue, I'll go when you go. He also said that the president's latest call to take Kimmel off the air, though, capped a days-long run of contentious interactions with or diatribes against media figures, including two reporters and Kimmel's fellow late-night host, Seth Meyers. Of Meyers, he said, Trump said, of Meyers, he said, Meyers is having, quote, an incurable case of Trump derangement syndrome, TDS, and said the host was, quote, viewed last night in an uncontrollable rage, likely due to the fact that his show is a ratings disaster, all caps. Aside from everything else, Meyers has no talent. NBC should fire him immediately. Meyers fired. I hate that. I hate when there's an article that says that. Meyers responded to that, and on the November 3rd closer look, on the closer look segment from today's the 21st, from the 18th, I think. I guess that's 5 days ago, or 19th. Oh my gosh, what a world we live in. This is where it's. Now it seems like these late night hosts are in complete dialogue with the president, and he's only attacking the broadcasters. He wouldn't go after the Daily Show. He wouldn't go after South Park. And I can only assume the Daily Show's ratings aren't terrific. He wouldn't go after South Park. He also wouldn't go after John Oliver. But by all means, I think John Oliver's videos are too long for him. His videos on YouTube are too long for him, and his show is too long for him. I feel like Trump only watches like the monologues and then he complains. He's just like me. He watches the monologues and complains. He's like that. He's like that Colbert's not funny, and I'm like, I agree. Oh my gosh. I'm kind of warm. Anyway, that email just came to my inbox like truly 3 minutes before, while I was writing the jokes. Like truly while I was writing jokes for this show. That's when this came to my inbox. Anyway, I want to talk about the Seth Meyers every single year, and I had to go back and triple check, but every single year since the show started in 2013. Yeah, 2013. When did this show start? Ever since the show started in 2014, it's had a very special episode of the show. It's had a very special episode of the show where he has his family on Thanksgiving. I love it. I think it's great. And what's very difficult to see is that some of these the online clips are gone, but it's fine, whatever. I enjoy it, and I've seen all the episodes, and they're always so good. And he has his brother Josh Myers on, he has his dad Larry Myers, and he has Hillary Myers, his mom. They usually include a video postcard of the kids in recent years because the kids are very young. I just wanted to say I enjoy it. On Jesus, what is in terms of the Tonight Show, because they'll be on too. I believe Fallon is going to have. Well, first of all, they're going to have a crossover, a months long residency. If you thought a week residency of the Wicked cast was big and interesting, then you're going to see this month long residency of Stranger Things. They're going to have Joe Keery on the Thanksgiving Tonight Show episode, along with Ed Sheeran, and I believe Ed is there to talk about his one shot special on Netflix. Now it's called One Shot, but I do believe it takes place in multiple locations. I don't know how they did that, and I assume it's shot in one shot. That's all I can confirm about that. Anyway, the Thanksgiving episodes are just pure joy. I really do enjoy it. It's always Seth's family, and it's always a good time. His dad, Larry Myers, I do remember this very specifically, said that popsicle shtick is not his. He hates it. He hates it. But I remember, I love popsicle shtick. I think it's the best. Wow, I was right. I'm double checking the Wikipedia, and yeah, he's been on. Or the entire family's been on, except for it's just his parents and his brother. It's not his wife Alexi, and that's none of my business. Yeah, okay, that's it. That's all I want to talk about. Look, man, this show is a lot harder to pull stories for because sometimes things don't happen at late night. But thank goodness next week is Thanksgiving, and I can talk about the thing I like. And if I did this last year, then man, I sure did. Internet Archive, Late Night with Seth Meyers. Is this an episode? Oh, it's just screen caps with captions. Interesting. Okay. Hey, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cblscomedy.com, where you can see other episodes of this show, as well as other episodes of the other podcasts. If you want to watch video versions of those shows, LinkedIn Log. I played the LinkedIn Logs theme song. That's the reason why I said LinkedIn Logs. I'm so pissed at myself. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to go back and change it. A, because I can't, because everything records to one track for easy editing. And B, I can't believe I didn't fucking notice that. Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm so disappointed. I'm not going to go back, and I'll let you hear my mistakes. I'll let you hear this diatribe. Okay, anyway, if you want to see a video version of the show, go to youtube.com/CeeplesComedy, where you can see a video version of the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs Podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News Show. If you want to see me talk to famous people like Mike Kaplan, I just released an interview with him. Go to youtube.com/CeeplesComedy. It's under the interviews. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky @CeeplesComedy. Me @ChadBlackWhite. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.